People often ask me, what is the most important verse in the Torah? What is the most important mitzvah in the Torah? And this is somewhat of a difficult question to answer, because if we examine the writings of the Rambam, in particular his commentary on the 13 principles of faith, he tells us that every single word, every single letter in the Torah is absolutely vital. If one letter is missing, the entire Torah is not kosher. And it doesn't matter where that letter is. It could be a letter in the paragraph of the Shema. It could be a letter in the paragraph that discusses the lineage of the evil Esau. It's all absolutely vital. So from that point of view, nothing is more important than anything else. However, we do find that our sages seem to argue about what the most important verse is. And in particular, there is a beautiful midrash, somewhat of a mysterious midrash, that appears in the introduction to the work Ein Yaakov, which is a compilation of the non-legal parts of the Talmud. And in the introduction to that work, the author mentions a midrash. And the midrash is an argument between three sages about particularly this point. What is the most important verse in the Torah? And one of the sages says it's the verse, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Listen, Israel, Hashem is our God, Hashem is one. The second opinion says that the most important verse in the Torah is V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. You must love your fellow man like yourself. And the third opinion says that the most important verse in the Torah is a verse from this week's Parsha, Tetzaveh, which speaks about the daily sacrifices. Every single day, Hashem says, you have to bring 2 sheep to the temple, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And that is the most important verse. Now let's look at these 3 opinions. The first opinion we can understand almost without an explanation, that the most important verse should be Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Listen, Israel, Hashem is our God, Hashem is one. That's a foundation of Judaism, that there is only one God. He is our God, and we have to love our God. That's understandable. The second opinion, V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. You must love your fellow as you love yourself. Well, after all, didn't Rabbi Akiva say in the Talmud, Zeh klal gadol ba'Torah? This is an important principle in the Torah. So many laws of the Torah are dependent on the fact that there's good relationships between human beings. If you don't love another person, you're going to speak Lashon Hora about them. If you don't love another person, you'll steal from them. So loving your fellow human being, we can understand, is of paramount importance. But what about the third opinion? That the most important verse is that there has to be 1 sheep in the morning and 1 sheep in the afternoon. Why is that so important? And specifically today, that we don't have the temple. Why is that so important? What does that teach us? And I heard the following explanation, which I think is very, very wise. What that verse is teaching us is the importance of consistency. That we have to be consistent. That sacrifice, which was called the Olat Tamid, the daily regular sacrifice, was brought every single day, twice a day. Whether it was Shabbat, whether it was Yom Kippur, whether it was Rosh Hashanah, whether it was raining, whether it was sunny, regardless of what was going on politically, every single day that sacrifice was brought. And that's why it's such an important verse, because in order to be a good Jew, and in order to do those other 2 verses, loving God and loving your fellow men, there has to be a consistency. It's fantastic if you say, I love God, but what do you do about it? Are you consistent about it? You can't love your wife or your spouse only occasionally. It has to be all of the time. The giving has to continue. The same thing, V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. You have to love your fellow man as you love yourself. This can't be something that you do occasionally. It has to be something that you do all of the time. Judaism is a religion that's not just done in the shul, or it's not just done on holy days such as Shabbat and the festivals. It's something that is done all of the time. But the only way that you can do that is to train yourself, to be regular, to be as consistent as possible. And that's really what makes us great Jews. It's not the big things, it's the small things, but the small things that we do all of the time. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.